So, okay. So I would like to show you a bit what we are doing on windowing management. This is a work with an intern that is called Alexi. And let's start. So you see, sometimes I really have the impression that the interaction that I have with the system looks more like that. When you look at some system, they really impose their flow. You know, they tell you, oh, you should do it like that. You cannot have two windows side by side. You cannot, no, you should press on this button and you should do that, you should do that, and you should do that. And for me, when I try to use those systems, this is like they cut my finger and I'm typing with my nose. And I said, why don't you force me to do something that you have no clue how I work? Because you see, for example, in the Cavrois in Calypso, we had to click on the code pane for the methods to define the methods. Why? Why I cannot define a class definition? Why I cannot define a method definition in a class pane? That's a computer, it knows how to detect a class definition. So now in Cavrois, you don't need to click on a method pane to define a method. You type in the pane of the class or of the method, you type your stuff and boom, this is done. Because what we do is that we look, hey, this is not a class definition. So guess what is it? A method definition. And like that, you don't have to move your mouse, select the correct pane and all these kinds of things. So we can do it. So you know, this is these little things that get on my way all the time. So I'm like, okay, stop to do that. So Cavrois is quite flexible compared to certain other systems, but Cavrois, this is more the jungle, you know? This is like, yes, we have windows, at least in my Cavrois session, I have windows everywhere. And then it's like, okay, maybe I should close everything and restart, those kinds of things. So what we want at the end is this I would like a system that let me work the way I want, but in a better organized way. And that I can control this organized way. So we started with this goal, and then people from the design school in Santiago, in Chile, came to visit us. They recorded several sessions of 2 hours with different guys in the team because we have all different flow. You know, it's really strange. We are in the same team, but we program differently. We organize things differently. And after that, there was a student that took several months to decode all the video, label them, check what were the people doing and things like that. And I will not show everything he did. I took a summary. But in fact, he came up with a different profile. There is the specialist. And you see, for example, there are funny quotes. He said, the guy said, this is the way I'm organizing if this time, this is the way I'm organizing it this time because I needed to see a lot of things at the same time. Okay, and then he reanalyzed, okay, is it structured? Is it minimal? What is the perceived efficiency? So Santiago got really different kind of criteria to analyze the session. After we have the explorer. So the explorer says, I don't give importance to the code browser. It is going to take me 25% of my time, but I prefer to open it, use it, close it. So there are too much window and I cannot understand what I am seeing, so I'm closing everything. This is probably me. So you see those kind of things. And then there is the stack organizer. I use the window as a stack because this is the most comfortable use with the keyboard and with the current design. So I open the window, I close the window, and I use the stack. So I will not go into the detail, but that was very interesting. He came to the team during 2 months and explained us that, and we were like, okay, propose some solution. Among the solution, one that was important, this is the size, so that when people resize something, we should not open with a different size, which looks kind of obvious, but it was not the case. And also how we can we have a profile of interaction? You know, if you are more into, sometimes we use the stack to remember the next action to be done. I don't know if you do that, but when we are doing refactoring, sometimes I will open senders, and clean the first layer, and the stack is my memory. So those kinds of things. So yes, the existing challenge is that in Faro, we have already a lot of different tools. We have already a full freedom, and there was this kind of loss of productivity, a bit like the people, you know. By the way, this is not only us. Sometimes I was sitting with Guichet, and then when I look at his Google Safari or Chrome, can have 100 tabs, and he said, "What do you do with 100 tabs in your web browser?" I cannot. For me, 3 maximum. After I cannot find anything. So we decided. We said, "Okay, let's do another windowing manager." In the past, people did in Faro 7. There was a tiling windowing manager that we look at. And we try to see, okay, maybe we will get some inspiration, but maybe not everybody is based on tiles. So we were brainstorming of that. And what are the tasks and organization that we want? So we don't know, in fact, so that's why I make this presentation. So if you use it and you say, no, it does not work for me, at least tell us. Or if it works, but it would be better this way, tell us so that we can improve a bit. I will show you the concept of Cavrois. By the way, Cavrois, this is a house at Lille that was super modern in 1930. If one day you go to Lille and you like architecture, you should visit this because they fully renovated, because during the war it was completely destroyed, and then after people stole everything. And this is really, I'm not sure that this is organic because Cavrois is more rigid, but you know, it was what can we take from the north and as a name. So basically in Cavrois, this is really easy. You place the tool you want on the screen, you press a button, it will snapshot the tools. Then after you can add interaction to each of the placeholder that you took like that. And then after, what will happen is that when you open a new tool, it will go to the place following the interaction that you specified. I will show you that. So we have 3 concepts. The profiles, because maybe you want one for testing, one for I don't know what. So you can have profiles. A profile is a group of pre-configured placeholders. You have placeholder. A placeholder represents a type of a tool. You will have the placeholder for a class browser, a placeholder for testing the runner, and these kinds of things. And then you have a strategy. The strategy, this is what do we do when we request a new tool? And I will show you that. So basically a profile where you have a playground, iceberg, a code browser. Then you can assign to each of the places a strategy. I will go over the strategy. So the strategy, the first one, this is replace. You said, okay, there was one, I don't care, throw it away, put the new one instead. Super easy. There is one that said place it on the top. I don't want that, I want just a stack that I don't see. This is placed exactly on the same. Keep the previous one and put it on the top. You have a strategy that is stacking. Okay, I want to see them because I want to know how many of them do I have below. And the pop-up, this is one that says, I don't care. If there is one, put it on the top of all the window because I want to see it. Like, I don't know you, but for me, the iceberg, I open 5 icebergs. Why? One is enough. I know that one is enough. But the problem is that they are below the other window. So typically what I do for iceberg, I said place on the top like that. I have only one. And when I ask, it just show up on the top. And like that, I can do something. And then after, I don't care if there are other windows on the top. So you see, so the pop-up for me is very important because like that, it reduces the amount of stupid tools that are all the same in my system. So of course we can have multiple tools. We can have 2 browsers or 2 playground open at the same place or in the same space. And in that case, when we open, we just go over the list. We said, oh, if you open one, we will put it there, the other one there, and the other one there. So I will show you. So basically, this is you can create a profile, rename a profile, update a profile, all those kinds of things. I will show you after the cell layout mode because this is interesting. So you see, so I place my window. Then I said, okay, I configure, I want a snapshot. I have a view, I can see, yes, okay, this is what I recaptured. And then I can configure the way I told you. So like that, I can say, here I want a pop-up, I want something, I want all this stuff. Save it. And then after, when I open the tools, for example, here I open 4 browsers, and you see the browser are stacking, so I will have 1, 1, 1, 1. We don't know if this is super nice, but that's the way. And what is fun is that you can move all the windows around and mess up your system. And then after, you have a button that says, okay, place them back. And whoop, they get in the corner nicely. So we have some little glitch, but because if this is in cascade and you close one in the middle, we don't know exactly the number right now, so the next one will be a bit shifted, but you get the intention. What you can do is that you can also switch between profiles. So this means that if you have so now the question that we had, and we don't have the answer, so maybe users will tell us, this is, if I switch, should I keep the window and place it in another place, or should I create new window? So for the moment, we just keep the object and we place it. By the way, something else is that we do not copy the state because we don't know what you did inside. And we don't want to do a deep copy of the system, for example, with the playground, with the bindings and things like that. So what we often do is that we hide a window, we hide the morph, but the morph is still there. I forgot to say that, this is true. We had, not in Cavrois, but we developed a little tool. I don't know you, but I always close the wrong window. I'm completely stupid, you know. Oh, fuck, this was the one I wanted. So we have a little tool that is called the uncloser. So if you open the uncloser, you will see the list of the 5 most recent window that you closed, and you can double click and poop, get it back with the state. Of course, wait, because that can be, Pablo was mad at us, because he got inspector with 1 gigabyte of memory, and it was not garbage collected. So we don't do that for the debugger and the inspector, because this is too dangerous. But beside that, so that there is a menu, you can enable it, and you will see it's really small, you can put it on the corner, and if you are fed up, there is one button you press and it does not record. So the last thing is that we were doing, this is we said, okay, you know, I look at people the way mine is more like that, messy, and I saw people at Berger-Levrault with perfectly aligned window, and I was like, wow, okay, how can we help them? Because, and maybe help me too. So what we did recently is that, wait, normally there should be a window, a video. Yes, we have those kinds of things where you can define the grid and then you got the idea. Of course, there are tools that have a larger size than they say, no, I cannot go in this cell. So we are checking, okay, you should overlap and things like that. So we would like to have another format where you have a grids, like in Squid. I really like the grid system. So where we can say, okay, you know, I want to align every 10 pixels. And then we can also move 10 pixels like that for the freaks that really like when this is aligned. You can really align it well. So you see those. So we are experimenting with that. This is like that in Pharo 14. So the current status is that we did the first version in Pharo 13. It looks really promising. The current development is in Pharo 14. Now we are thinking that we want to do the minimal investment with Morphic because we want to redo that in Toplo, because most of the logic is on top of spec. So that means that this is completely independent. Now we have to deal with native tool with native morphic window that are not spec windows, so and they don't have the same model, and you cannot have access the same thing inside. So we have to have some little glue to interact with the system to make sure that it works well. So we will see. So by the way, did we address the challenge that we saw? So now you don't have to resize multiple times the same tool. And we removed from the debugger, because the debugger was the only one where I could say, I want that you keep exactly the same position and the same size. So at least we remove the same size. You can have this specific profile for specific tasks. So if you do something and you like it, of course, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you can also ask Cavrois in the startup. So this means that you can create an image and automatically said, okay, when I start my image, automatically my tool should be like that. Install a profile, and then your tool, boop, they will go in the right place. What we would like to see, this is what are the profiles for beginners, because we could configure Faro as a beginner mode, and then they don't get flooded with tools that or window that they don't care. And the idea, it should be really ready how to work out of the box. Now we are looking for feedback from people, because really we want to listen. What are your flow? How do you work? If you want to help, the code is in Faro spec new tools. What else did I forget? Nothing. So that's it from that talk. Don't hesitate to give us feedback. And I hope that you will be able to work with that system.
Yes, I'm coming.
I think this is super good. And of course, there is one thing that I would like that you didn't mention. And if you take your papers or whatever they're called, and I think it was the second, and you are in the desert or in the forest or something like that.
Yes.
And what you did corresponded to the picture of pushing up and seeing everything on the Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to be able to do that in Faro. So I just do a finger blop, and I can see it, and I click it, and it's in front, and I can have 100.
Okay. I hear it.
Thanks. I was thinking about your problem. You say you open often 1,000 of iceberg window. Why we do not have something like open only one? And when I press the shortcut Command O, Command E, it opens the same iceberg instance.
Because it is at the level of the tool, and maybe you want to open two iceberg.
Yeah. I mean, we can have a setting that says this window in particular, I just want to have one because I don't care. It is only like a profiler. Maybe I don't care. Maybe a transcript. I don't want to have 1,000 of transcript open and stuff like this. Just an option.
Yes, I don't know. So that's why we were more thinking in terms of interaction. What is the tool? How do you want your tool to work for you? So, and like that, this is independent of the tool part, because else we would have to duplicate that in all kinds of places. So, and but by the way, also what we normally pay attention is that the resize behavior is good for the Faro tools, but if you develop a spec app and you decide that your client or your user should not change the size, that the size is not changed. So maybe we may have some glitch there, but the idea was to pay attention to distinguish what is a Faro tools from a normal widget for your application. So because, okay, so thanks a lot. Okay,
There's
wait.
one more.
Well, you triggered me with a question. Is it currently sort of responsive? Like, I'm using my laptop, but at home I'm having a big screen.
Oh, yes, I forgot that. Yes, exactly. Exactly, because I have a large screen, and then each time, each time I get on this teeny machine, I'm like, oh. So normally, yes. So we were, just before coming here, that was a requirement. I said, you know, I'm fed up to have my window shifted like that. Let's make things proportional. So yes. Yes. I forgot. So thanks a lot.